Zara looked up at the three moons of Sonora, their purple glow painting the night sky. She sighed, her blue skin shimmering in the moonlight. Another boring day was ending on her home planet. Zara, get inside now. Her mother's voice echoed from their pod-shaped house. It's time for evening meditation. Zara rolled her four eyes. Coming, Mom, she shouted back, but didn't move. Instead, she started humming a tune she'd made up. Her long, finger-like antenna bobbed to the beat. You see, Zara wasn't like other Xenorians. While they loved quiet and order, she craved noise and excitement. They walked everywhere slowly, but Zara loved to skip and run. And worst of all, in a world where no one ever smiled, Zara couldn't stop grinning. Zara, her father's deep voice boomed. Inside. Now, with a final glance at the moons, Zara slouched into her house. Inside, her parents sat cross-legged on the floor, their faces serious as always. Sit, her mother commanded, and stop that awful humming. Zara plopped down, trying to keep her face still. But as her parents began to chant the boring meditation words, she felt a giggle building up inside her. Silence is strength. Emotions are weakness, her parents droned. The giggle was getting stronger. Zara bit her lip, her shoulders shaking. Conformity is safety. Individuality is danger. She couldn't hold it anymore. Just as her father said danger, Zara burst out laughing. Her parents' eyes snapped open. Zara, her mother gasped. How dare you disrupt the sacred meditation? I'm sorry, Zara said between giggles. It's so silly. Why can't we laugh and have fun? Her father stood up, his face dark with anger. Fun, Thuyan. There is no place for such foolishness on Sonora. You know the rules, Zara. One more outburst like this, and we'll have to report you to the Council of Elders. Zara's laughter died in her throat. The Council of Elders was no joke. They punished anyone who didn't follow Sonora's strict rules. She'd heard whispers of people disappearing after being called before the council. I understand, Father, Zara said, lowering her eyes. It won't happen again. But in her heart, Zara knew she couldn't change who she was. As she lay in bed that night, she dreamed of a place where she could laugh freely, where dancing wasn't forbidden, and where being different was okay. The next morning, Zara walked to school with her cousin Thorn. While Zara's steps were bouncy, Thorn moved like a robot. Did you finish the homework on the history of silence? Thorn asked in a monotone voice. Yes, Zara groaned. It was so boring I almost fell asleep writing it. Thorn looked shocked. Boring. But learning about our great silent leaders is the most important thing we can do. Zara was about to argue when she saw something that made her stop in her tracks. A group of young Xenorians were gathered in a circle, whispering excitedly. What's going on there? Zara asked, her antenna perking up with curiosity. Thorn frowned. We should ignore them. Group gatherings without official permission are against the rules. But Zara was already skipping towards the group. As she got closer, she heard snatches of conversation. In the old caves, glowing and making noise. Elder Zorak says it's dangerous. Hey, Zara said brightly as she reached the group. What's all the excitement about? The other young aliens fell silent, staring at her with wide eyes. Then, slowly, one of them spoke. There's something in the old caves, he whispered. Something that doesn't belong on Sonora. Zara's heart raced with excitement. What is it? What does it look like? Another alien leaned in. They say it's a machine of some kind. It glows and makes strange sounds. Elder Zorak went to investigate and came back looking scared. Wow, Zara breathed. A magic machine that could scare an elder. She had to see it for herself. Just then, a loud bell rang across the schoolyard. The group quickly dispersed, their faces returning to the usual Xenorian blankness. But Zara's mind was whirling with possibilities. As she sat through another day of dull lessons about obedience and silence, Zara made a plan. Tonight, after her parents were asleep, she would sneak out and find those old caves. Whatever was hidden there, it had to be more interesting than another night of meditation. The rest of the day crawled by. Zara got in trouble twice for doodling instead of taking notes, and once for tapping her foot to an imaginary beat. But she didn't care. For the first time in her life, she had a real adventure to look forward to. That night, as the 3 moons rose high in the sky, Zara slipped out of her bedroom window. Her heart pounded as her feet touched the ground. She was really doing this. With one last look at her quiet house, Zara set off towards the mountains where the old caves were. She didn't know what she would find there, but she knew one thing for sure. Her life on boring old Sonora would never be the same again. A glowing secret, Zara's heart raced as she crept through the dark Sonorian night. The 3 moons cast long shadows, making every rock and bush look like a scary monster. But Zara wasn't going to let fear stop her. She was on a mission to find the mysterious glowing thing in the old caves. As she neared the mountains, Zara heard a soft humming sound. It wasn't like anything she'd heard before on Sonora. It almost sounded happy. Following the sound, she found the entrance to a cave hidden behind some tall, spiky plants. "Well, here goes nothing," Zara whispered to herself. She took a deep breath and stepped into the dark cave. At first, she couldn't see anything. But as her eyes adjusted, she noticed a faint blue glow coming from deeper in the cave. The humming got louder as she walked towards the light. Suddenly, her foot slipped on a wet rock. Zara yelped as she fell, sliding down a steep, slippery path. She tumbled head over heels, bumping and bouncing until she landed with a splash in a small underground pool. "Ouch," Zara groaned, sitting up in the cold water. But then she gasped. Right in front of her, half buried in the sand at the bottom of the pool, was the source of the glow. It was a strange-looking box, about the size of Zara's head. It was made of a shiny material she'd never seen before, with weird symbols all over it, and it was glowing bright blue, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. "Wow," Zara breathed. She reached out and touched the box. As soon as her fingers met the smooth surface, the humming got louder. The box started to shake, sending ripples across the water. Scared but excited, Zara pulled the box out of the sand. As soon as it was free, a beam of light shot out of the top, forming a big flat circle in the air. Zara's 4 eyes went wide as pictures started to appear in the circle of light. But these weren't pictures of Sonora. The beings she saw had only 2 eyes and no antennae. Their skin came in many different colors, and they were doing the strangest things. She saw 2 small beings chasing each other, their faces split in wide grins. In another image, a group of the aliens were moving their bodies in a weird, bouncy way to some kind of noise. Zara realized with a shock that the noise was music. Real music, not just the boring chants of Sonora. But the thing that amazed Zara the most was how much noise these aliens were making. They were laughing out loud, shouting with joy, and singing at the top of their voices. It was everything Zara had ever dreamed of. "Who are you?" Zara whispered, touching one of the images. To her surprise, words appeared at the bottom of the light circle. "Humans of planet Earth." "Earth," Zara said, testing the word. "Humans." She liked how the words felt in her mouth. They tasted like freedom and fun. For hours, Zara sat in the cave, watching scenes from Earth. She saw humans playing games, telling jokes, and hugging each other. She saw big blue oceans, green forests, and tall buildings that seemed to touch the sky. Everything was so colorful, so alive. As the first light of dawn began to creep into the cave, Zara knew she had to leave. But she couldn't bear to part with the amazing box. Making a quick decision, she stuffed it into her school bag. "I'll come back tomorrow night," she promised the box as she covered it with her books. As Zara snuck back into her house, Her mind was buzzing with everything she'd seen. For the first time in her life, she knew she wasn't alone. Somewhere out there in the universe, there was a whole planet of beings just like her. Beings who loved to laugh, play, and be happy. Zara fell asleep with a big smile on her face, dreaming of Earth and humans. She didn't know it yet, but her adventure was just beginning. Space friends. For a week, Zara snuck out every night to play with her secret Earth box. She learned so much about humans and their weird, wonderful ways. But she still felt lonely. Watching humans have fun wasn't the same as having fun herself. One night, as Zara sat in her cave hideout, she sighed. "I wish I could talk to a real human," she said to the box. Suddenly, the box started to glow brighter than ever before. A new kind of humming filled the air, and Zara felt a strange tingling in her antennae. "Hello? Is anyone there?" A voice spoke in her head. It wasn't her voice, and it didn't sound like any Xenorian she knew. Zara jumped up, looking around the cave. "Who said that?" she asked out loud. Oh wow, it worked. The voice in her head said, "I'm Alex. I'm a human from Earth." "Who are you?" Zara's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. Was she really talking to a human? In her head, I'm Zora," she said nervously. "I'm from planet Sonora." "How are we talking?" "I found this cool old radio in my attic," Alex explained. "It just started glowing and humming. Then I heard your voice in my head. This is so awesome." Zara laughed. She couldn't help it. Alex's excitement was contagious. "It is awesome," she agreed. "I found a glowing box in a cave. I think it's connected to your radio somehow." For hours, Zara and Alex talked about everything. Alex told her about school on Earth, about movies and music and sports. Zara shared stories about life on Sonora, about the 3 moons and the strict rules. "Wait," Alex said, sounding confused. "You're not allowed to laugh or have fun. That's crazy." "I know," Zara said. "That's why I love watching Earth in my box. You humans know how to have a good time." Alex was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Hey Zara, want to hear a joke?" "A joke?" Zara asked. "What's that?" "Oh man, you're going to love this," Alex said. "Okay, here goes. Why don't scientists trust atoms?" Zara frowned. "I don't know." "Why?" "Because they make up everything." For a second, Zara was confused. Then suddenly, she got it. A loud laugh burst out of her, echoing through the cave. She laughed so hard her sides hurt. "That was amazing," she gasped when she could finally speak again. "Tell me another one." Alex shared more jokes, and Zara laughed at each one. For the first time in her life, she felt truly happy. As the night went on, Zara and Alex shared their dreams. Alex wanted to be an astronaut and explore the galaxy. Zara admitted she didn't know what she wanted to do. On Sonora, everyone just did what they were told. "You should do what makes you happy," Alex said. "That's what my mom always tells me." Zara thought about it. I think I'd like to be a dancer," she said shyly. "Or maybe a singer. Is that silly?" "Not at all," Alex said. "That sounds awesome. You should totally do it." As the first light of dawn crept into the cave, Zara knew she had to go. "I have to leave," she told Alex sadly. "But can we talk again tomorrow night?" "Definitely," Alex said. "Same time, same brain channel." Zara giggled. "It's a date." As she snuck back into her house, Zara felt like she was floating. She had a friend, a real friend who understood her. And not just any friend, but a human from Earth. For the first time ever, Zara was excited to face a new day on Sonora. Because no matter how boring or strict things got, she knew that at night, she had a whole other world to explore with her new space friend. Little did Zara know, her nightly talks with Alex were about to change her life, and the future of Sonora, forever. Trouble strikes. For weeks, Zara lived a double life. By day, she was the same quiet, obedient Xenorian girl. But at night, she came alive, talking and laughing with Alex through their magical connection. One night, as Zara snuck out of her house, she didn't notice a pair of eyes watching her from the shadows. Her cousin Thorn had grown suspicious of Zora's new, happier mood. He decided to follow her. In the cave, Zora pulled out her earth box, excited to talk to Alex again. "Alex, are you there?" she called out in her mind. "Hey, Zora." Alex's cheerful voice filled her head. "I learned a new earth dance today. Want me to teach you?" Zara jumped up, grinning. "Yes, please." As Alex described the moves, Zara started to dance. She twirled and jumped, her blue skin glowing in the light of the box. She was so caught up in the fun that she didn't hear the gasp from the cave entrance. Soren watched in horror as his cousin danced wildly, laughing out loud. This was against everything Xenorians believed in. He had to tell the elders. The next morning, Zara was woken by a loud banging on her door. She opened it to find two stern-faced Xenorian guards. "Zara of House Zenth," one guard said, "you are summoned to appear before the Council of Elders immediately." Zara's heart sank. She knew this was bad news. At the council chamber, Zara found herself facing 5 ancient Xenorians, their faces wrinkled with disapproval. Her parents stood to one side, looking ashamed and scared. Elder Zorak, the oldest and scariest of the elders, spoke first. "Zara, you have been accused of the most serious crimes on Xenora. Dancing, laughing, and worst of all, communicating with alien life forms." Zara's antenna drooped. "How did they know?" "Your cousin Thorn witnessed your activities," Elder Zorak continued. "He did his duty as a good Xenorian and reported you." Zara saw Xorn standing in a corner, looking both proud and a little guilty. "What do you have to say for yourself?" Elder Zorak demanded. Zara took a deep breath. She thought about Alex, about the joy she'd found in their friendship. She stood up straight and looked the elders in the eyes. "I say, I'm not sorry," Zora declared. The room gasped. "I've learned that there's more to life than being quiet and following rules. There's a whole universe out there full of fun and laughter. Why should we miss out on that?" Elder Zorak's face turned dark purple with anger. "Foolish child, your alien friends have corrupted you. We cannot allow this dangerous thinking to spread." He turned to the guards. "Take her to the Tower of Silence. She will remain there until her day of judgment." "No," Zora's mother cried out, but the guards were already grabbing Zora's arms. As they dragged her away, Zara managed to call out in her mind, "Alex, help me." But for the first time in weeks, there was no answer. The earth box was back in the cave, too far away to connect. The Tower of Silence was the tallest building on Xenora. It was where the worst criminals were kept before their punishment. As Zora was locked in a small dark room at the top of the tower, she felt more alone than ever before. Hours passed, then days. Zara lost track of time in the silent darkness. She thought about Alex, about Earth, about all the fun they'd had. Tears rolled down her blue cheeks. Then, one day, the door to her cell creaked open. Elder Zorak walked in, his face grim. "The council has made its decision," he said. "For the crime of communicating with aliens and disrupting our way of life, you are sentenced to lose your head at tomorrow's dawn." Zara's whole body went cold with fear. This couldn't be happening. It couldn't end like this. As Elder Zorak left, Zara collapsed on the floor. "Alex," she whispered into the darkness. "I'm so sorry. I wish I could see you one last time." Little did Zara know, galaxies away, Alex had heard her cry for help. And he wasn't about to let his space friend face trouble alone. Alex to the rescue. Back on Earth, Alex was freaking out. He had heard Zora's desperate cry for help, but then, nothing. For days, he tried to connect with her through the old radio, but all he got was static. "I've got to do something," Alex muttered, pacing his room. But what? How do you rescue someone on another planet? Then he remembered. His uncle worked at the local space center. Maybe he could help. Without wasting a second, Alex grabbed the radio and raced to his uncle's workplace. He burst into the lab, startling his uncle and a group of scientists. "Uncle Jim, I need your help. My friend is in trouble on another planet." The scientists laughed, thinking it was a joke. But Uncle Jim saw the panic in Alex's eyes. "Slow down, kiddo," he said. "What's this about another planet?" Alex took a deep breath and explained everything. The radio, Zara, Sonora, and the danger she was in. To prove he wasn't making it up, he showed them the radio. The scientists were amazed. They'd never seen technology like this before. "This is incredible," one scientist said, examining the radio. "It seems to be using some kind of quantum entanglement for instant communication across space." "That's great," Alex said impatiently. "But how does it help Zara?" Uncle Jim thought for a moment. "Well, we've been working on an experimental teleportation device. It's never been tested on living things, but I'll do it," Alex said without hesitation. "I have to save Zara." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The scientists worked frantically to modify their teleporter, using the radio to lock onto Zora's location. "Now remember," Uncle Jim warned, "this is incredibly dangerous. We don't know what effect this will have on your body." Alex nodded, his face set with determination. "I understand, but I have to try." As Alex stepped into the teleporter, alarms suddenly blared through the building. "Security breach," someone yelled. "Government agents are on their way." "Hurry," Alex shouted. Uncle Jim slammed the button. There was a blinding flash of light, and Alex felt like his body was being pulled apart and put back together. When he opened his eyes, he was floating in space, staring at a strange purple planet with 3 moons. "Sonora," Alex whispered in awe. But there was no time to admire the view. He was rapidly falling towards the planet's surface. Luckily, the scientists had equipped him with a high-tech spacesuit. Alex activated the suit's thrusters, managing to slow his descent. As he neared the ground, he saw a tall, sinister-looking tower. Somehow, he knew Zora was in there. Just then, a fleet of Xenorian ships appeared, firing strange energy beams at him. "Oh," Alex muttered, dodging the blasts. He zoomed towards the tower, weaving between shots. Using the suit's enhanced strength, Alex smashed through a window near the top of the tower. He tumbled into a dark room and found himself face to face with a surprised-looking blue alien. "Zara?" he asked hesitantly. The alien's 4 eyes widened in shock. "Alex," she whispered, "is it really you?" Before Alex could answer, the door burst open. Elder Zorak and a group of guards rushed in, their faces twisted with anger. "Seize the alien intruder," Zorak shouted. Alex grabbed Zora's hand. "Do you trust me?" he asked. Zora nodded without hesitation. With his free hand, Alex activated the emergency return on his suit. There was another flash of light, and they both felt the strange pulling sensation. When they opened their eyes, they were back in Uncle Jim's lab, surrounded by astonished scientists. "It worked," Uncle Jim exclaimed, but their joy was short-lived. The lab doors burst open, and stern-looking government agents poured in. "Nobody move," one agent shouted. "You're all under arrest for unauthorized alien contact." Alex and Zara looked at each other, then at the chaos around them. Their adventure was far from over. "Welcome to Earth," Alex said with a nervous laugh. Despite everything, Zara couldn't help but smile. She was with Alex on the planet she'd dreamed about for so long. Whatever happened next, they'd face it together. Showdown on Sonora. The lab was in chaos. Government agents were shouting orders, scientists were trying to hide their research, and in the middle of it all stood Alex and Zara, holding hands tightly. "We can't stay here," Alex whispered to Zara. "It's not safe for you." Zara nodded, her antenna twitching nervously. But where can we go? Alex's eyes fell on the teleporter. I have an idea, but it's crazy. Before anyone could stop them, Alex pulled Zara into the teleporter. He quickly punched in the coordinates for Xenora. Alex, wait. Uncle Jim yelled, but it was too late. In a flash of light, Alex and Zara vanished. They reappeared in the middle of Xenora's capital city, causing a commotion. Xenorians screamed and ran at the sight of the human and the traitor Zara. Oops, Alex said, looking around at the chaos they'd caused. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Alarms blared across the city. Within minutes, they were surrounded by Xenorian guards, led by a furious Elder Zorak. Seize them, Zorak bellowed. But Alex wasn't going down without a fight. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his smartphone. Everyone, stop, he shouted, holding up the phone. I have a powerful Earth weapon. One wrong move and I'll blow up the whole planet. The Xenorians froze, eyeing the strange device fearfully. Elder Zorak sneered. You're bluffing, human. Oh yeah. Alex grinned. He tapped his phone, and suddenly, loud music started blasting from it. The Xenorians jumped back in shock. Taking advantage of the confusion, Alex grabbed Zora's hand and they ran. They ducked into alleyways, dodging guards and scared citizens. We need to talk to everyone, Zora panted as they ran. Show them that humans aren't dangerous, that having fun isn't wrong. Alex nodded. But how? We're kind of busy running for our lives here. Just then, they rounded a corner and found themselves in a large square. In the center was a massive screen used for official announcements. There, Zora pointed. If we can hack into that, we can broadcast to the whole planet. They sprinted towards the control panel beneath the screen. Alex pulled out a small device his uncle had given him, a universal hacker. I hope this works on alien tech, he muttered, plugging it in. The screen flickered, then lit up with Alex and Zora's faces. Every Xenorian across the planet stopped and stared. People of Xenora, Zora began, her voice echoing across the city. I know you've been taught that emotions are bad, that having fun is dangerous. But it's not true. Alex jumped in. Humans have emotions. We laugh. We dance. We enjoy life. And guess what? Our planet hasn't exploded. As they spoke, something amazing happened. Xenorians started to gather in the square, listening curiously. Some even began to smile. Something that hadn't happened on Xenora in centuries. But Elder Zorak wasn't giving up. He stormed towards them, guards in tow. Enough of this nonsense, he roared. Alex had an idea. He scrolled through his phone and found a song, Dancing Queen by ABBA. As the music started playing through the giant speakers, Alex grinned at Zara. May I have this dance? Zara giggled and took his hand. Right there, in front of the whole planet, the human boy and the alien girl started to dance. The Xenorians watched in amazement. Slowly, hesitantly, some of them started to move to the music too. Feet tapped, hands clapped, and for the first time in forever, the sound of laughter filled the air. Elder Zorak was horrified. Stop this at once, he commanded, but no one was listening to him anymore. More and more Xenorians joined in, awkwardly at first, then with growing enthusiasm. The square turned into one big dance party. In the middle of it all, Alex twirled Zara around. See, he said, dancing isn't so bad, is it? Zara's eyes sparkled with joy. It's wonderful, she said. Then, in front of everyone, she did something no Xenorian had done in living memory. She leaned in and kissed Alex. The crowd cheered. Elder Zorak spluttered in disbelief, then fainted dramatically. As the sun set on Xenora, casting a beautiful purple glow over the dancing crowd, Alex and Zara knew that nothing would ever be the same again, and that was perfectly okay with them. A new galaxy of friends. The days following the dance revolution, as it came to be known, were a whirlwind of change on Xenora. The rigid, emotionless society began to crumble, replaced by a new world of laughter, music, and friendship. Alex and Zora found themselves at the center of it all. Xenorians of all ages came to them, eager to learn about Earth culture and how to express emotions. "How do you do this smiling thing?" one elderly Xenorian asked, his face muscles twitching with effort. Alex grinned. "Just think of something that makes you happy and let it show on your face." Meanwhile, Zora was teaching a group of young Xenorians how to dance. "Move your body to the beat," she encouraged. "Don't be afraid to be silly." But not everyone was happy with the changes. Elder Zorak and his supporters tried to resist, insisting that the old ways were better. "This human influence will destroy us all," Zorak declared dramatically. Alex had an idea. He approached Zorak with a peace offering, a set of joke books and a whoopee cushion. "Give it a try," Alex said kindly. "You might find that laughing feels pretty good." To everyone's surprise, Zorak reluctantly agreed. His first attempt at a joke was awkward, but when people laughed, a tiny smile crept onto his face. It was a start. As weeks passed, the changes on Xenora caught the attention of other alien races. Curious visitors began arriving from across the galaxy, eager to see the planet where fun had been rediscovered. One day, a sleek spaceship landed in the capital. Out stepped a group of important-looking humans in suits. "We're from Earth's Intergalactic Relations Department," one of them announced. "We're here to establish official contact with Xenora." Alex and Zora exchanged worried glances. Would Earth try to take over Xenora? But their fears were unfounded. "We've been watching the amazing transformation of your society," the Earth ambassador said. "We'd like to invite Xenora to join the Galactic Federation of Planets." The Xenorians were thrilled. A vote was held, and the planet overwhelmingly chose to join. Xenora was about to become part of a much bigger universe. As preparations for the ceremony began, Alex realized something. "I've been away from Earth for months," he said to Zora. "My family must be so worried." Zora's antenna drooped. "Does this mean you have to leave?" Alex took her hand. "I don't want to leave you. But I don't want you to leave your home either." They sat in silence, trying to figure out what to do. Then Zora's eyes lit up. "What if we create an exchange program?" she suggested. "Xenorians could visit Earth to learn about human culture, and humans could come here to learn about us." Alex loved the idea. They proposed it to both the Xenorian Council, which had replaced the Council of Elders, and the Earth ambassadors. Everyone agreed it was a fantastic plan. On the day of the ceremony, as Xenora officially joined the Galactic Federation, Alex and Zora stood hand in hand, watching their two worlds come together. "I never imagined my life would turn out like this," Zora said, her eyes shining with happy tears. Crying was a new skill Xenorians were still getting used to. "Me neither," Alex laughed. "But I wouldn't change a thing." As the ceremony ended, fireworks lit up the sky, another Earth tradition that the Xenorians had enthusiastically adopted. The crowd cheered, a joyful mix of human and alien voices. In the years that followed, Xenora became known across the galaxy as a planet of joy and creativity. The exchange program was a huge success, with humans and Xenorians learning from each other and forming lifelong friendships. Alex and Zora split their time between Earth and Xenora, serving as ambassadors of fun and understanding. They never forgot the adventure that brought them together. The day an alien girl was about to lose her head, until the human she fell in love with appeared. As for the magical radio and the glowing box that started it all, they were placed in a museum, a reminder that sometimes the most amazing discoveries come from reaching out to someone different and saying hello. And so, in a galaxy that once seemed vast and lonely, a new era of friendship and understanding began, all because two young beings from different worlds dared to laugh together.